Games, Brains A Head-Banging Life here. And you know what time it is? It's time for another episode of The Nasties. And we are looking at Man from Deep River, or Deep River Savages, or Sacrifice. Goes under many different names, but we watched it under the name Man from Deep River. 1972 movie. I was not a horror movie in any way, shape or form. In fact, for most of it, you'll be like, how is this even a nasty?
Yeah.
And then you will hit a point and go, that's why.
Yep, that's why.
And then you'll also hit a later point and go, that's why. Yeah. And unsurprisingly, when you look at the details, that is exactly why. Because beyond that, this is not that extreme in any way, shape or form.
It's just a story being told, really, isn't it?
Exactly that. However, it's fucking great.
Yeah.
It's great. And I'll be honest, I was not looking forward to doing this one.
No.
Because the cannibal movies, they're 10 a penny, they're all the same sort of thing. And we've still got a lot to go.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get one out of the way. And it was like, you chose this one. I wouldn't have chosen this one, you know that.
Oh.
I'm glad you did. So, you know, but it's trying to sell itself in a way that it's not what it is. No. So like the front cover of this is showing scenes of torture and violence. Like, that's a predominant part of it. And it has 4 taglines in the front. I'm going to read them out just to show you and explain when we get into it how off base this is.
Yeah.
C, the torture that makes a modern man defenseless. Okay, I mean, there's a little bit, but, you know, okay.
Not as hardcore as what that's saying.
C, the ritual that frees a woman to love again. Okay, I can only think they're referring to one particular scene. C, the barbaric punishment of a trapped betrayer. What?
Yeah.
What?
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 I don't get that. Maybe when we talk through that, maybe that will go back.
C, the love of a tribal girl for the man from outside. I mean, yeah, okay, that's
sense,
fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it still does like the massive word C.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, this is going to be crazy. But yeah, so this was directed by Umberto Lenzi and stars Ivan Razumov, Mimi Lau, Prasatasak Singhara, Sulawayan Suksanta. The 2 names are important there. It's Ivan Razumov and Mimi Lau. They are the 2. They are our stars. So yes, predominantly, probably better known as Deep River Savages more than anything else.
I like the name we watched it under. Made more sense for me.
This what? The man from Deep River?
Yeah, because it's quite vague.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think Deep River Savages implies something, again, that's certainly not the case.
Yeah.
It was released with 3 minutes 45 seconds cut in 2003. I'm not entirely sure. I might check when I read through the extra bits. I don't believe this film can be found uncut. Completely.
Okay.
I think regardless, you've still got parts that were cut, regardless of what we've seen. What we've seen in this is quite extreme, but I think it's still, you know. So it was one of the non-prosecuted video nasties. That is important. Now, it's the first cannibal film, widely regarded to be the first cannibal film. But it's notorious for several scenes of extreme violence and gore, which was standard for its genre, which is true. Though several scenes of torture and cruelty are present, its inclusion on several on-screen slayers of animals is what lands the film in hot water. A large amount of the film's notoriety comes from that, being included on the Video Nasty list. It was rejected for cinema release and certification by the BBFC in 1975. But it was still able to make it onto a video release under the title Deep River Savages. Yeah. So there's your problem and part of why, if you ever need an explanation of why the Nasty list even exists, they got rejected by the BBFC and found a sneaky little way to get it past them. So when the DPP compiled a Video Nasties in 1983, Deep River Savages made its way onto the list, of course. In 1984, the Video Recordings Act was instated by the British government and Deep River Savages was banned from the UK in its entirety, largely because of animal killings. In 2003, Deep River Savages was again brought before the BBFC, but was passed with a certificate of 18 after being cut by nearly 4 minutes to remove all cruelty present. Ironically, despite all the controversy surrounding the film's UK release, Man from Deep River was passed with a simple R rating by the MPAA, which is America. So completely uncut. So yes, a lot of bother around animal cruelty in this one, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, I found frustrating when you're doing a film with gore and like fake blood that there's ways around doing that.
Of course.
It's very frustrating for a film. I want to watch the film gone, I want to see that for real, to believe it was real.
Of course. So it comes with a bunch of bonus features, and they are brand new HD master from the original camera negative, uncompressed LPCM English soundtrack, and uncompressed LPCM Italian soundtrack with English subtitles. That's stuff they never really care about. Theatrical trailer, Deep River Memories, an interview with Umberto Lenzi, the director. Mimi Lau Bites Back, The Resurrection of the Cannibal Queen, feature-length documentary of Mimi Lau, man from Deep River, and a return to public life after decades of hiding. Featuring contributions from the actress Eli Roth, Rogerio Deditor, and more. That sounds kind of interesting. She just disappeared afterwards.
Yeah.
Inferno of Innards. Eli Roth, the director of The Green Inferno, a shit movie, shares his thoughts of the Italian cannibal boom and how it inspired his own contemporary gut-munching classic. Do not use the word classic and The Green Inferno in the same fucking breath. No. Audio commentary by Callum Waddell, director of the award-winning documentary Eaten Alive, The Rise and Fall of the Italian Cannibal Film and author of Cannibal Holocaust. And a reversible sleeve with the alternative Deep River Savages UK VHS artwork.
VHS. Okay. I think I like that one better.
Oh, it looks stupid. No, it looks stupid. I don't like it. I don't like it. It looks stupid. So,
Super cheesy.
as I said, beyond animal slayings, of which I believe, as it's not written there saying that it's completely uncut. So I don't even believe, considering it had 4 odd minutes cut in 2003, and it would say if it was completely uncut now. That's certainly not the case. I have no problem with cuts when it comes to animal cruelty. I have no problem with it.
I could have done without sitting.
I strongly believe, had you cut out the animal slayings in this might have been nothing more than a 15.
Yeah.
Because it's got a ton of nudity, but it's not, and sex to a degree, but it's not...
But it's got romantic sex, if that's the word.
Yeah, I guess what you're saying, yeah,
It's
yeah.
not, like, aggressive or, like...
There's no rape.
Yeah, it's all done
Wait,
nice.
no, there is a rape.
There is.
Okay, right.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, maybe cut that bit out as well.
Yeah.
So, the story... Well, let's start with the more impressive thing. This is all about tribes and Deep River tribes and so on. One of the things we kind of caught on to immediately at the start was it deviated from the norm, which was it didn't use African tribes. It didn't quite say it was, but between the Burmese border, that area. So we've kind of gone with Burmese tribe, basically.
It's just like an isolated community, really. It wasn't like the films we watched before where it's like they use African tribes that don't speak and like they don't show anything to do with their customs and community. It's just look at these people, look at what they're doing, they're savages.
We're so used to that, yeah.
And so I find that I like the idea of having seen an actual community in the story. So I'm probably getting ahead of myself a little bit.
So the story then, yeah?
Yeah.
It stars a man called John Bradley, who is played, as we already said, by Ivan Razumov. He's a British photographer on holiday in Thailand, that kind of Burmese Thailand kind of area. I'm not sure, how close are they, Burma and Thailand?
I think they're next to each other because I think he said it was like the set in the space between. So
Yeah.
I think they're close. My geography is terrible.
Yeah, I'm not good with this kind of thing either. But either way, we get a lot of early portion where he's just kind of looking around, taking photos of locals. You know, it looks very touristy, looks quite pretty. It's a bit of a random start. It is a bit of a random start in regards to, we get some really things that mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. So we then see him, he's gone to a fight, a kickboxing event and fight. He's with a woman and she doesn't want to be there. She's basically complaining that she's bored and all that. He's into the fight. Look, let me watch the fight. Let me watch the fight. We see her sort of being watched by a kind of greasy looking bloke.
Yeah.
She notices as well, and he's like, sleazy kind of bloke, that kind of thing. Yeah. This last event, she just gets up and goes, I don't want to be here, I'm going. Yeah. And then walks out. And we sort of see this bloke watch her and then follow her.
Yeah, that's it.
Because we see this bloke afterwards, but it's irrelevant. As call him Bradley, because everyone refers to him as Bradley throughout the movie. But Bradley, he's at a bar having a drink and all that kind of thing. And this guy from earlier on knocks into him. Bradley turns around and is a bit like Ace, and he offers to buy the man a drink, but the man pulls a knife out.
Yeah.
Bradley kind of fights him off and ends up stabbing the guy in the chest and killing him, and then runs off, basically. What is this beginning about? Now, I get they had to have a reason for Bradley to effectively have to go into hiding, so to speak, but it's still like, what was that woman? What did that have to do with anything?
I just thought it just showed on his trip. I don't know. I just thought it showed him his trouble that he's not travelling on his own. He's a man about town, so he's got... I don't know.
But we're adding all that in. We're adding all that. We were like at first like...
But that's what I got from it. I was just like, okay, so that's his girlfriend, and then it was like, oh no, just someone who's randomly met along the way.
Then why would you care? Why would you care? Like, if we're, I don't know. Why I found it just odd, and like perhaps we could have still had him watching the fight, but just no woman there. Because it's not like it was trying to set him up as a playboy or anything like that. Not at all.
No.
No, not at all. So Bradley, he basically leaves wherever he is. You see him on a train that's going on a very rickety-looking bridge and track. Ooh. And he kind of like, there's a cop on it, and he hides under a hat, that kind of thing. So he's trying to do a runner from the murder. He is a distinctive-looking man.
He's a good-looking dude.
You know? Tall, thin, white skin, blonde hair. He stands out, that kind of thing. But anyway, when he gets off the train, he's basically rented a canoe, a rickshaw first, with a guide. And his plan is to head up a river to take pictures of wildlife for his job. We never really find out what his job is, but it's obviously something to do with photography, because he's a lot of expensive cameras with him, including underwater stuff and all that. Yeah, he's got the money. So he's rented this canoe with his guide, and they're going up the river. They're kind of given a warning and stuff like that about not going down thin parts of the river, stay in wide open areas, because you start heading to inland and into more dangerous areas and that sort of stuff. Hint, 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 you know. We get some stuff in the canoe between Bradley and his guide. It's all right. It's all right, yeah.
Yeah, it all makes sense, like why he's got a guide. Their little bit of sort of like chemistry together is good. It's like, it's nice because it builds up a story and it all makes sense why he's doing certain things and how they behave towards each other.
Yeah.
It's a rare thing in video nasties to kind of go, okay, this story all makes sense.
Yeah. And we're working with characters for once as well.
Yeah.
Even the guide, he will shortly end up dead. It was like, okay, he's not just an idiot who's there to get killed, that kind of thing. So after a couple of dives, Bradley gets tired and he just falls asleep in a boat. When he wakes up, he finds that his guide is missing. He sort of looks around for him, then sees his hat by the river bank. He swims over to it, finds the guide's body dead, having been shot with an arrow in the throat. And then he's captured by a load of tribespeople. Yeah, locals, basically. He's captured it in a net and then carried back to their camp, their area, sort of village that's on the edge of the river. Kind of thing. Naturally, my first thought was, here we go. And then it was kind of like, oh, but we're getting into this really early. If they're like cannibal tribes and all that. Now, they're subtitled. And some of the subtitling is quite off and a little bit like, that doesn't sound like the sort of thing they'd say. Yeah. But I liked it because at least it meant we understood what they were saying.
Yeah, gave people like a voice in that as part of the community.
Yeah, because it makes it clear as well that actually they're not troublesome, so to speak. They're defensive, naturally, of outsiders, but they reference a different tribe who are cannibals. And John Bradley, he's hoisted up in his net and sort of hanging in the village kind of thing. And we see them dealing with some of the local other tribe, the cannibals, as they've captured two and cut their tongues out. This is one of those kind of graphic scenes that you kind of see and get kind of thing. There's not a lot to it, really. It's just a clear definition and a clear direct line to who's the enemy, I guess, and who's not. Yeah. I think that's quite important. So Bradley, he wants to obviously leave and he's kind of panicking and stuff like that, but escape is not an option. And we kind of get an indication of certain levels in this tribe that we're with. We've got the leader, who's an elderly man. We've got what looks to be maybe a second in command, who's a bit of... I kind of worked out was like the top warrior, so to speak. However, he goes under a name that made us laugh.
Oh, yeah.
And they say his name and we get the subtitle of it. His top warrior is called Karen. 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 Which is kind of funny.
Because he has got a beef with the new guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Bradley, because he obviously he's an attractive fella, so obviously he catches people's eye, and
Yeah.
Pete Karen.
Yeah, and then there's a witch doctor as well, who kind of eyes up Bradley with suspicion. But there's someone else eyeing up Bradley in a different way. And it is Maria. Is that your saying name? Mariah.
I just call it Mariah Carey, so it's Mariah.
Yeah, let's say Mariah.
It is because they say Mariah quite a lot.
And that's Mimi Lau.
Yeah.
She's kind of watching Bradley from afar. She's very coy, kind of playful smiles and stuff like that. You instantly kind of get the whole... okay, she's intrigued by this guy that's turned up. Yeah, the new guy in town. Who's that guy? Where did he come from? Who's that guy? Sorry. She's the daughter of the chief of the village. Now, the village has become convinced, and part of their suspicion of Bradley is his flippers and his suit, his diving suit.
Yep.
So they think he's a fishman, as they call him. She ends up convincing him that, look, he's not. He's just a man and stuff like that. And they end up agreeing that Bradley will be released, but he'll be her slave. Yeah. So he'll be put to work, which is what he effectively is. He's put to work. He then meets another woman who turns out she can speak English. She keeps that quiet. Yeah. She was abandoned as a child in the jungle, the woods, and then picked up by the tribe and cared for. But she talks to Bradley, who kind of like, look, help me out, let me get me out of here, that sort of thing. They're not massively cruel to Bradley at this stage, I don't think. I think like he has to work. We see a lot of that.
Yeah, they feed him.
Yeah.
It was quite interesting to see like the role reversal of having a man tied up in like a different kind of tribe setting. Because films we watched before, it's always like a female not wearing much, like and obviously quite a lot of violence towards women, but they're pretty chill to him really in the scheme of what they could be doing.
Absolutely.
So maybe it is just like that their mistrust just keeping him under control because they don't trust him yet.
That's it, basically, yeah. And we find out that Mariah and Karen are to be married. Top warrior, chieftain's daughter. It makes sense. Yep. But on the day of the Feast of the Sun, Bradley is actually released from his bonds. But it's during that, unfortunately, a helicopter flies above. And Bradley tries to get its attention, of course. I did actually think it was landing, but that's not the case. Yeah. He's almost killed by other warriors here. But again, Mariah is the one that sort of stops it. He's her property, so to speak. Yeah. And that's kind of Bradley's plan. He kind of thinks that people might be looking for him, so he figures he'll be able to escape when that helicopter comes back around. Yeah. But time does pass. We see that. And we get a couple of times where Bradley kind of narrates the time period in his head, speaking in his head, his thought process. And we find out then that a month has passed. He's kind of just... He's working in the village again, but he seems less captive now than he was before. He seems to be a little bit freer to do his own sort of thing, so to speak. I think if he tried to run, as we would see, he will be in trouble then. But they've kind of taken the shackles off, so to speak. Yeah. Not physically, like visually shackles, but the kind of mental shackles. Yeah. And we see an accident occur where something falls and kills one of the men. One
of the workers, yeah.
And I think like Bradley's kind of getting used to life, and this might be kind of what turns him around into trying to escape. So this is more of one of those sort of scenes where you're a bit like, okay, that might have been upsetting a censor. As we see the kind of funeral of this ceremony of this guy. So, you know, his body is burnt. But at the end, in the ashes of that burning and his body and all that, his wife lays down naked on the floor, and then the men of the tribe sleep with her, one after another. Yeah. And Bradley kind of sees that happening. And he's disturbed by it and all that. Us, not so much.
It's not particularly violent. Like, I know it's still like things implied, but it's kind of... The tradition doesn't seem like it's a violent, really aggressive one. It just seems like she was like, okay, this is what happens after a husband dies.
I think it's important for us, you know, to sort of say here, we're not that big on judging other people's cultures and customs. No. You know, just because you can be like, well, that's, you know, we might end up making jokes about it more than anything else in regards to what we're seeing.
Yeah, I kind of thought with it, it's more like the circle of life idea of like, you know, on one man's ashes they start again a new life. But the one that can speak English, I can't remember her name.
It's like Taima
sort of explains it, so she's like the guide almost to him, saying this is what happens. She's not owned by the other man anymore. So
the terminology is, of course, out of date as fuck.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, I was less. When I saw that, I thought, oh god, it's gonna get quite a violent rape, almost like quite rapey looking scene.
Not at all.
No, it was just quite. Just
not
what
at
it
all.
Was. It was just part of their life, which is what it was. So,
I mean, I kind of jokingly will say it like this in a kind of more jokey fashion. It's like you've been widowed. That's what's happened, and 6 months have gone the line, and you kind of feel like you might be able to move on. So you basically jumped on Tinder. For a week, and had a couple of fun for a week with
it was just like an intense session of that. Really,
that's basically what kind of saw it as. This is Bradley's attempt to escape again, but he actually manages to get out of the village and into the jungle and so on. But Karen, never going to get used to saying that, and a group of warriors follow him. He ends up getting caught at a waterfall, but he fights Karen and they fight. He actually ends up winning. and mortally wounding Karen at this stage. I did like this scene because I particularly like Karen's reaction to that, which is basically, he's won.
Yeah,
don't kill him. He's won. He's bested me.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really nice touch. Indeed, we then also see during that period a helicopter flies by, but Bradley is too hurt, too exhausted to even try and signal it. He just kind of collapses and falls asleep.
Yeah.
Falls unconscious.
Yeah.
Asleep. Yeah. Back at the village, Karen's body is being dealt with, and it's now been decided, look, Bradley's bested him.
Yeah.
And he's going to become part of the village.
Let's test him.
Yeah, it's kind of thing. So he goes through various rituals and tortures, painting on his body. He gets hung in a the cover, which is like a cage with hung up like on a cross, but with a cage over his head that keeps his head very, very still.
Yeah.
It's a similar trap that we used in one of the Saw sequels, the head twisting one, the boxed over the head and the twisting.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. And they kind of spit poison arrows into his body and certain things like that. He's left out in the sun all day.
That makeup was good.
Yeah, it looked really good. He looked very dry and very thirsty and looking to be struggling. And he only has to go through this for 3 moons, they describe it, which is 3 nights effectively.
Yeah. I heard it's 3 months. I was like, oh, that's a bit of a stretch. But
Yeah, that might be a bit too much. You might need a drink, you know?
Yeah.
But he gets through it, and he's accepted as a warrior, and given the kind of title of being wisdom, you know, because of what he knows, his knowledge of technology, the Western world, and stuff like that. We see that he when he helps a young boy who's suffering from diphtheria, and he ends up doing a
tracheotomy.
Yeah, on him, and he helps this young boy, much to the witch doctor's chagrin.
Yeah.
He is not happy about being usurped. But also, him and Maria have become very, very fond of each other. You know, they're getting along quite well, that kind of thing. You know, she's happy enough. She's like topless a lot of this and so on.
Yeah.
You know, he watches from afar. They smile a lot at each other. And it turns out that, that's the plan. That Mariah and him are going to be bonded together. They're going to be married. You know, which, let's be honest, Bradley wasn't like, I can't do that. He's like, sweet. She's very pretty.
She is very pretty.
Yes. We do get a kind of weird sort of test scene where before Bradley's chosen, we should say it's not like he's just picked out of the crowd.
No.
So the test is Mariah goes in the room naked, blindfolded, and sits against a wall.
Yeah.
And the tribe warriors all line up at a glory hole, effectively.
Yeah,
and
I thought it was going to be weirder than what it was.
They reach their arm in and they basically can touch her body.
Yeah.
And I guess from that she decides which one she likes to feel of.
Yeah.
Now I call this straight away. The first 2 warriors are all, you know, that kind of thing. And I was like, no, what, Bradley. I said he'd touch her face. Yeah. He doesn't, though. He doesn't touch her sexual organs. He rubs her arm. And then ends up grabbing her hand, which is how she ends up choosing him. Yeah. I think she takes her thing off and puts it around his arm, garland, which I guess is basically, I have chosen this guy. The other warriors don't look too happy about her, but hey, what you going to do? That's how it goes down. And they're married. We then get naked run through the jungle, which I guess is part of the culture as well. She runs away, not fast, let's be honest, she's not legging it. It's playful fun. She strips off, he strips off, she falls down, he catches up with her, and they sleep together.
Yeah. Get quite a few scenes of that, don't you?
We do get actually quite a sort of short period of, I guess it's designed to build their love up and their relationship up. I will say that I believed it. I bought into it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I bought into it. We were actually really enjoying the movie at this stage. We really, really were.
It's showing to be caring. Because like there's little things they did to make him show that he kind of like had a bit of caring, compassion to him. Like when he rushed over to help the guy that was killed by from the funeral before, helping the guy, helping the young boy. Yeah. Yep. Going through the work.
I like them both. Yeah. I like them both.
Yeah.
Now we're going to stop here because we're now going to backtrack a little bit about the first of the animal scenes actually occurred. So during John's sort of initiation into it, there are several things happen. There's removing snake venom from a snake, which is not violent to the snake, like in the sense that they don't kill it or anything like that. There is that. However, there are 1 or 2 scenes that will always stand at the most in this film, and we're going to touch upon the first now, and it is the chopping of the monkey's head. So this is a monkey, and they basically put it in this device that encloses it there. So the top of its skull is protruding through it. And it is a bit like you're almost expecting for the cut to come.
Yeah, you're like, oh, they're going to cut. They're going to cut from the live monkey
to a fake.
Yeah.
To a fake.
Yeah.
and it doesn't.
No.
And they chop its skull off. And then and it was a bit like, we were both just like, oh, that was real, wasn't it? Like, it looked,
We were, when they sort of brought the monkey in, I was like, okay, they're going to put it in the thing. Still not, like, still
yeah, still didn't love that.
Still not love that because it's restraining it for no reason, just for entertainment. Not cool. And I was like, okay, they're going to cut to a model. They've done earlier bits of gore and blood and guts and stuff. They did the tongues.
Mm-hmm.
They can clearly make a monkey brain. Look at Indiana Jones. You can do monkey brains quite easily. And then, when it wasn't, it was like, oh man, I was enjoying this film.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate.
It does mar it because
we didn't need it.
We didn't need it. Like, you knew what was going to happen. You could have had that cut, and you could have had a bloody knife coming away, and you would have known what was happening.
And all it is so John can eat a bit of the brains.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And it just felt so unnecessary, and it really kind of took away from me enjoying the film.
Yeah, it's a black mark. It's a black mark on it. So after going back to where we were, after the sort of sex and lots of playing around and stuff like that, and several other sex scenes, it turns out Mariah is pregnant. And we kind of jumped 6 months in time. 6 months. And Bradley he's
balls deep in tribe life.
Yeah, like he is happy. He is very happy. He's got a wonderful wife. They've got a child on the way. He's been accepted. Yeah, he's learnt the language to a degree, and he's teaching others English as well. It is very wholesome. Very wholesome to watch.
I enjoyed it, yeah.
I enjoyed it as well. Yeah. But we finally meet the other tribe, the cannibals, called the Kuru. And they end up ambushing a young boy and a girl who are part of our tribe outside their village. The girl is killed, raped, and her body parts are eaten by this tribe, the Kuru tribe. Well, the boy is mortally wounded. He goes back to the village, alerts Bradley and others, and Bradley takes a load of men to go to attack the Kuru that are eating. They find them eating the woman. They attack them, and I love this because it was kind of showed how far Bradley had come. He cuts out one of the tongues of the Kuru.
Yeah.
Which you remember at the start, he watched in disgust when he did that to the original two. But he's more than happy to do that this time. So yeah, that to me was like the ultimate, you're part and parcel of this tribe now.
Yeah.
When he gets back, Mariah has fallen ill. Now, I am a little puzzled about this segment of it. Because we did get this scene of the witch doctor being quite jealous, I guess, of Bradley. Burning 2 dolls of Bradley and Mariah in a fire. Yeah. And I did wonder, is that supposed to be linked to her illness?
It might, but I think there's butterflies as well, but I think they kind of focus on the butterflies.
Yeah, there's a black butterfly that flew over them when they were having sex the first time, and there's a black butterfly that comes in at the end. It's kind of like an omen, so to speak.
I don't think it would have helped him doing that. It didn't seem like he was doing it in a big open ceremony with other people. It seemed quite private. If it was done with lots of people around, this was just, here's a fire, here's my little doll things that I made. So it feels like,
Yeah, I agree. So Mariah's fallen ill, and it basically is blindness. She's gone blind. Bradley tries to comfort her and all that, but he also believes that only Western medicine can help her, and he needs to get her to a proper city. So he sneaks off in what looks like the early hours of the morning with the help of his friend, her ward, her nurse, so to speak, and they sneak off in a canoe. Mariah's happy enough to do it as well, I guess, because she kind of wants to see her child when it's born. But unfortunately, as they're off in the boat, they are the helper Tamima is ambushed. The witch doctor wants her killed. The elder says, "You don't you're not the boss of this place," basically. But he ends up just punishing her by having her hand cut off. It's a short scene. You see the hand come off and then it cuts away. But Bradley and Maya, they go down and they run into some problems when they find a group of elephants that are in the water, which forces them to have to stop short, and they're captured anyway. It doesn't really come to much. There's no punishment.
No, he probably explained himself and he realised you probably die on the way to the big city, which is why they're so isolated, because they don't just nip back to the shops and back.
It could have been, we don't really see anything beyond it. It's just Maya's now going into labour.
And I think if he explained it to the dad, I don't think it's going to be like...
Well, you could argue, he could even have said they weren't really going anywhere. We were just on a trip. Yeah, that kind of thing. Maya's going into labour, and the witch doctor's doing his stuff over it. John returns from, I guess, a provisional trip, out into the jungle getting some stuff to find a witch doctor in there. And he sends the witch doctor away, which, I guess as well, he's a Western man, get rid of this nonsense.
Yeah. Don't need black magic. He doesn't want any kind of like magic or.
The only thing I'd say against Bradley is this tribe has probably given birth to many, many children along the way. You know, don't
interfere.
Yeah. You're a photographer. You're not a doctor.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, he could help, even if it's
just making a
comforting. Yeah. Even if it's basic stuff like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, regardless, the village now gets attacked by the Kuru. Obviously wanting revenge for their fallen warriors. Attack the village and set it on fire and kill lots and lots of our locals. During that period, John tries to take Maya to safety. The witch doctor is killed here as well. I think it was quite important because I got confused. It looked like to me like he was going to leave with them, which is why I was wondering if it was like he was involved in some way, but he's not. He's just kind of killed.
Yeah.
We then see the remainder, the survivors of the tribe kind of trying to regroup and stuff like that. And Maya's giving birth. You know, John tries to comfort and all that, and he sees this black butterfly again. That's where they reference it, and she says what it is. It's a butterfly of death, so to speak.
Yeah.
She gives birth, but dies shortly afterwards. You know, says that her soul will be in the wind with him, that kind of thing. And she asks her father to keep them bonded. So we believe this means that what we saw earlier on won't happen. E.g., John will stay unmarried.
Yeah. Stay with her.
Yeah, but his son is born and looks to be born healthy. You know, he's obviously very upset about it. He did love her and stuff like that. But she says, like, you've got to look after my people, our people. And it's a quite significant finale as well, which makes a lot of sense as we see the helicopter return and John shoos away. Everyone tells him go hide. And it's kind of like, what's he going to do?
Is he going to flag him down?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
He doesn't. He hides himself. And we were like, there you go then.
Yeah,
that's his decision made.
Yeah.
This is his life now. And we see him kind of giving orders afterwards as well. Like, we're going to rebuild, we're going to do this and all that. And it's kind of like, this is his thing. This is his life. And I liked it. I felt happy for him. I thought, you know what? Yeah, he's lost his wife and all that, but he has these people with him. He's part of them. He has a son to raise. He can look after and help these people perhaps better than they've ever been before.
Yeah.
You know, things that, look, we can't let this happen again. So we're going to have guard station. We're going to build watchtowers.
Yeah.
Things like, you know, we're going to survive it. And I felt positive about it.
We did.
We are going to come back to it. We're going to go back to it like we did with the other. I wanted to tell the story and gloss over this shit-y moments because, let's say it. It is a very good story.
Yeah, you feel for these people and, you know, the customs, well, they're not your customs because we're from a Western perspective. It's like, okay, I see, like, the circle of life. You have people, like, looking over people being born and things like that. And you do have elders in all cultures. You have elders that pass on wisdom, and you have hierarchies of rankings and all things. But I really enjoyed the characters and the acting, and
it was nice to see a tribe so front and centre, not portrayed as savages. Even though for some reason Bradley says the word savages a few times.
And he calls Mariah, my black savage.
He calls his son will be. His son will be. My son will be, you know, and it's a bit like, when he said it, we were like, the fuck, Bradley?
Yeah, where were you going with
that?
Like,
what on earth is that? But for the most part, it's very, very nicely portrayed. Yeah, you have the Kuru who are portrayed as your bog standard cannibal tribe, blah, 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 blah. But they're not in it much.
No.
And they seem very ineffective. Do you know what I mean? Ineffective. Like
Opportunists.
they strike when you're alone.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. And it's only through perhaps our tribes, a lack of awareness that they even managed to cause any real damage at the end of the film. But then, like I said, you have those moments where you're just like, for fuck's sake. You know, and you can it depends on your taste, some of it. You can get harped on about the level of nudity, but there's nothing hardcore here. It's mostly breasts for the most part.
Yeah.
And, you know, some occasional full frontal women, no men, that kind of thing. But again, there's no forced sex. Every sex scene you sort of see is consensual. And as well, it's done in that way where it's like, they're not having sex.
Yeah. No.
That kind of thing. Clearly not. It's just man lies on top of woman.
Yeah.
Her legs are closed. He's still got his pants on. Nothing's happening beyond moaning. Yeah. That kind of shit. Yeah. But there is, as I said, those scenes. We already mentioned the monkey one. We're going to do the other one, which is the goat. And it's been cut. You've clearly been cut. So you get, but you do get 3 to 4 seconds of this. And it's graphic, unnecessary. And during the moment of birth, obviously, this is not alone to this culture. You hear about this a lot, which is killing a goat at the time of birth or another animal, a sacrifice. And the leader nods to one of his men and he just cuts the throat of this live goat. And, I mean, it's a decapitation almost. Yeah. It's not nice. The goat's alive.
Because it does, people do, that's how people do kill goats, and there's obviously like halal meat, how they do things like that. But for a film, I know what you're going to do. Like, if you go up to a goat with a knife, I know what you're going to do. Like, you don't have to show...
You could zoom in on a goat's face, have it bleating, show the bloody knife. We've seen this shit in other films. Yeah. We've seen this shit done in other films.
I mean, they might say it as, oh, we was going to do it anyway, we're going to kill that goat and eat it as like food on set or something like that. With the monkey might have been a pest in that area, so they can't regularly kill monkeys. The justification, I don't know the justification, but it just feels unnecessary.
It is, of course it's unnecessary. It's certainly unnecessary to go, I'm going to put this on film. That's its biggest problem there. And you can say, oh, we're just being soft about it and stuff like that, and that's entirely up to you. For me, I don't find entertainment in watching live animals being slaughtered on screen. And it's, oh, well, you eat it and stuff like that. And it's like, that's not the same thing. This is designed... Ultimately, a movie is designed to be entertainment in some fashion. And yes, it's a nasty and to expect a certain level, but these cannibal movies, and they're the ones that are almost always to blame for this. Almost all of them have these, we've not got to the worst one for it. But this just felt like, what the fuck? Take those two scenes out. Let's remove the monkey head and the goat. Yeah. And we have an excellent movie, unblemished.
Really enjoyed it.
Unblemished.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, what we end up with is a great movie, blemished by those two scenes.
Definitely.
I still think it's a thorough recommendation. Do watch this because you will be invested in a very, very well-told story, a sweet story that plays down a lot of violence and things you expect from a cannibal movie. It's just marred by those scenes. I think the acting is strong. Yeah. I think it's shot really, really well.
The music's a little bit cheesy. Like, it is 70s, so the music's a little bit cheesy over some certain points. But I quite liked it.
I liked it. Yeah. I liked it a lot. This is up there as one of the best we've watched, I think. Definitely. And that's why it's a worthy recommendation. Yeah. It's just a damn shame we had to focus on those two scenes. Yeah. But there you go. Man from Deep River. Deep River Savages. Whatever you want to call it. Sacrifice is the third one. Yeah. Let us know what you think of it in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl as well as Big Cartel where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?